top performing agent from Northern Ohio, closed over 80 deals as a 22-year-old realtor. Yes, you heard that right. Today we're going to be speaking with Landen Barr, and he's going to be sharing what is the online lead generation that he's been using that has been helping him grow his business drastically in little of like 3 years or so that he's been in the business. And he's sharing his story, and you don't want to miss it. He's also not only that, but growing, his family business and also already bringing on other agents. So stay tuned. Let's dive into this interview. You don't want to miss it. And if you have any questions, you know how to get hold of me, and let's make 2026 the best year yet. Hey everybody, as I shared with you here in this introduction, I am so excited because you're meeting someone new as I am, but here is been in business as well as long as I have been. Incredible success. How you're doing, Landen? And I am so excited that you have the time today to come and speak with our people here and share your success and your strategies.
Yes. So thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to kind of talk about my story and, everything that we've been able to do here in a short while.
Yeah, I know. It's incredible. And I love hearing that, every time someone think am I too young? Am I too old? Have I passed the time, of real estate? And the answer is just you can start whenever you're ready. Because I started on my, mid 30s. And then whenever I meet someone in the early 20s like yourself, I'm just I'm so excited for you. I can't even, imagine what 10 years from now is going to look like for you. But as you said, let's start from the beginning. We would love to hear your story. What were you doing before you got your license, and just a little bit of your, your steps towards this last 3.5 years. And now you're, part of our group.
Yeah. So I think like you were saying, a lot of people have so many different excuses, but there shouldn't be an excuse. Anybody can do it if you put your mind to it. So a little bit about my story. When I was graduating high school, my dad asked me, what do you want to do for a living? Do you want to go to college? What do you want to do? And I told him I want to own real estate. So that's what I told him. And he said, well, why don't you just get your real estate license? So that's what I did. And we actually both got a real estate license together right when I turned 18 out of high school. So both my dad and I kind of did it together. And we joined a local boutique brokerage. In my first 6 months, I sold one $60,000 house in my first month. And that was while I was also working at Lowe's. So I kind of merged from working almost a full-time job at Lowe's and doing real estate to going in full-time. So we were there for 6 months, sold one house for $60,000. And this is where our story kind of begins. So after we moved from our boutique brokerage, we joined what was called a Zillow Flex brokerage. And with that, everyone has their different opinions on online leads. But that's what we learned to specialize in. So with the Zillow Flex brokerage, we received Zillow leads online, and we learned all the details of how to convert an online lead properly. And a lot of people don't even understand that kind of terminology. For example, speed to lead. If you don't contact a lead in the first couple minutes, you have a very high percentage of not closing that lead at all, and things of that nature. So when we joined that brokerage, my dad and I sold 55 houses that year. Wow. So we instantly kind of sped up. So in my opinion, I think one of the fastest ways to build your business is to do it through online leads. There was a statistic out there that a while back, 5, even 10 years ago, 70% of all deals were done from referrals. And don't get me wrong, I love referrals. Referrals are great. But now a majority of all transactions start with some sort of online lead generation platform. And now it's even starting to push into AI. People start with, searches with AI. So, Dad and I thought this is where the business is going to. Why don't we jump on this ship, learn everything we possibly can about this and how to convert them. So then the next year, we sold 107 houses in 1 year. So we really started to, ramp up. And then this year at eXp Realty, Dad and I are over 100 houses as well. And this year, I think I'll be at about 80. So it's been just a great couple years, a lot of learning, and there's a lot of knowledge to be obtained in this industry with online leads.
So I'm assuming you guys are still using the Zillow Flex, that like the strategy hasn't changed.
Yeah. So Zillow Flex, for you guys that don't know, is like an online lead referral platform where you don't pay for anything up front. But once you sell or close that house, you pay a referral fee on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
So what Dad and I kind of transitioned to is purchasing them up front now, right? Because we left that brokerage and moved with the eXp Realty. And so now we purchase them up front, and we do Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, which you pay on the back end for Redfin. And so we kind of just joined all these online lead platforms, and we just know how to convert them at the highest level.
That's amazing. So you're already having a successful business. What made you guys think about even joining eXp this year?
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, there's a bunch of different pillars with the eXp Realty of income and support. So, when we learned about revenue share, number one, that got us excited. And then we learned the model where it's good for all agents. It's good for brand new agents, right? It's a great split for a brand new agent. It's good for agents that are selling a good amount of homes, but want to reach that next level. And then it's also good for agents that are already at that level, right? Because first of all, the numbers are great when you're at that level with your caps and being an icon agent. So we liked the model. We also liked the pillars of income with stock, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can even charge your own transaction fees, all the things. And then another huge, another benefit that we really like and encourage is the model is set where there's no reason to withhold information. Okay. So in your traditional brokerage, and it's not like this all the time, as you know, but there's withholding of information because there's no benefit to the other people on the team of sharing their secrets and success. Whereas with eXp Realty, we all want each other to win, right? We all want to thrive, and we all want to grow together. And that's why we're the number one growing brokerage. And we also do the most transactions, and that's why.
Yeah.
So there's a couple reasons on why, we thought this is it.
So now that, I know you're sharing that, and, I know there's so many positive things and negative things, right? And it's all about what right? Because a lot of the times when people especially say negative things is because they don't know, are not using it or haven't used it. It's just from opinions of others. And now you've been building your business, with the paid online leads, which I know sometimes we hear that and can be so many things, right? It can be you're running ads, but it's specific. You're like, hey, I am working with this search platforms that's what, the buyers and sellers are using these days, right? I mean, like, even sometimes I try to send my little link to my clients, and then when they find a home, they always send either their Zillow or from Redfin, whatever home they're looking at, which is fine. It doesn't matter. I want to close the deal, right? I'm not like getting hooked into that. But I know there's been a transition where, before you're saying, you guys are paid on the back end, now you're just paying up front. But let's talk a little bit about just the process itself, because I feel like probably it's similar. So you're getting the leads, like you say, like, is your phone ringing and you just need to be quick to answer? Or like, how is that dynamic when you're, by me, might be in meetings, might be with other clients, you guys have a high volume of, clients that you're working with, how you're managing not to miss those calls so it doesn't go to the next agent?
That's a great question. And there's a lot to unpack in that. But to start, we have a team up here. So now it's my dad and my brother Quinn. So for example, if a Zillow call comes in and I'm not able to get it, well, then that Zillow call will route to my brother next, and then so on. That way we can't miss the Zillow calls. Now for leads that come in, they're called nurture leads. That's where it just texts you, hey, so-and-so is looking at 123 Main Street. Here's their name, email and phone number. What I've created, and this is actually my other brother who's super techie with AI now, is where a lead will come in and from my personal phone through my message from my number, it's not like some green 888 number. My phone will text them, hey, this is Landen Barr with eXp Realty. I see you're looking at 123 Main Street. When would you like to see it? So the statistic I was saying earlier, the speed to lead, you want to make sure that you're reaching out to these people as quickly as you can. So now I'm using AI. They think it's me. It's really not. It's working on setting an appointment. And then, once they ask a certain question that, AI is not comfortable answering, for example, how old's the roof? The AI will shut off and then I will take care of it. But that way we've actually gotten contact with the lead right away. And, people think that this is like super complicated to set up. It's really not that hard. But going back, you also have to have what's called a CRM, right? If you don't have a solid CRM to keep track of all your clients, I don't care who you are over time, even years down the road, there's no way that you're going to remember all of the leads that come in. There's just no way, So in our CRM, you want to make sure that, when you get a call, the first thing you want to do is work on setting up an appointment. That's basic real estate. Set the appointment. A lot of these online, leads, they don't really care about much. They just want to see the house, right? Totally understandable. So set up the lead to get an appointment where you can meet them. And if you never get that appointment or the house sells or for whatever reason you just weren't able to set that up, make sure that they're in your CRM and you're building a relationship with them in that first week. It's super important. So you want to understand, what they're looking for, what their time frame is, and make sure you do a couple touches that week with texts, or it can even be phone calls, emails, send them houses, whatever you need to do. But if you let that lead go cold that first week, it's almost like it's a done deal. You can't let that happen. So make sure that you're warming, putting those touches out to that lead that first week. And you have to also understand the average online lead, as crazy as this sounds, has spoken with 5 other realtors. So you almost have to push out of that and keep in communication with them so you win. You push past those other realtors that only texted them maybe once, maybe twice. So you keep doing those touches. So that's for the people that, you weren't able to set that appointment for. Now going back to the people that you did set that appointment for, this is huge. Everybody has a different opinion on this. But in my opinion, you don't want to vet the client over the phone call before you meet them. Make sure that you go face to face. You have like a 90% chance of that client sticking with you if you meet them face to face at a showing, do a good job, and present your skill set of knowledge with homes, which I'll get into later. So make sure you meet them. We call it giving them one free lunch. Okay. A lot of people really try to vet pre-approvals, and that's great and that's understandable, but we're in the business of relationships. And so how are you going to make a relationship? It's hard to make a relationship over the phone, but if you can meet them, show them your skill set, show them you care, that's going to really help set you out from the rest. So that's what I do. And my old brokerage, he said this and I'll never forget it. All he said was, don't focus on the money, right? Everyone has this like commission breath. They're desperate for the transaction.
Yeah.
Don't get yourself in a position where you're desperate for sales, because then you really are going to somehow come off as a salesman. And we're not salesmen. So what he said to me is, make relationships, focus on the relationships, and the money will come. And that's exactly what happened. And also, just being a good person and caring about people, I think we are missing that aspect of life. Like, you know, just being a good person and taking care of them. I think
And
that's super important.
I love that you say that, because if you always, especially if you're on this business for the long run, right? And if you just look at everything as a transaction and looking at people as transaction, you might even close a lot of deals, maybe, but it's not going to be a return thing. It's not going to continue growing
Right.
with you as otherwise you're always feeding for leads. And obviously you guys have a system, and I'm sure as you continue to build and serving so many people, they will refer you. They will come back, when they need to upsize or downsize or whatever the circumstance can be, because of that relationship that you build. So I am
Yeah.
curious in here. So when you're trying to set up that appointment, right away, are you doing a buyer's presentation? Are you just like trying to meet them at that one house that they were looking at, originally when you got that alert or whatever? Maybe they already don't like that home and you schedule a different home. Like how, I was just curious, like, because I love that, right? Getting that face to face. But do you do a lot of interaction until that appointment, or it's mostly you're just trying to get this house, this date, this time, I'll see you there?
Good question. Yeah. So I don't do any like buyer consultations. I really don't. I get the phone call and I schedule the appointment, because a lot of these online leads, they really, like I said, they just want to see the house. They don't care. Once they
Mm-hmm.
meet you, warm up to you, start to build that trust, you can kind of go to whatever route you want. And at the end
Mm-hmm.
of that appointment, I encourage them to get a pre-approval. That's why I said one free lunch,
Mm-hmm.
But I really just focus on setting the appointment, because there's a lot of data out there that suggests that that is your best route to have the highest conversion rate. A lot of people like to play around prior, and that's just not the most productive thing to do, in my opinion. And we got to
Mm-hmm.
focus on productivity as well.
And since you guys have a high volume, I know it's kind of a team of three. Do you send other people for that first appointment, or it's always one of you guys? It's like, do you have like showing agents or something just to help with the
Yeah.
volume?
So how we kind of structure it is, dad, myself, and now my brother, we're kind of like our own entity. We work with our own clients, but we're busy. So if, one of us isn't able to show a house, my dad will cover it, or my
Mm-hmm.
brother will cover it, or something
Mm-hmm.
of that nature. So
Gotcha.
we kind of have more of a tight niche team, but if somebody wants to go see a house that's farther away, we'll do an EXP referral all day long,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
especially. If it's a buyer, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what we're working with now, is delegating if it's farther out, and if it's near us, one of us covers it. Yep.
Awesome, awesome. I'm curious, like, how you even got into that. I mean, I know it was this because of the first brokerage that you guys joined, and that's what they had, and you just like, well, we're gonna go give it a try. Did you heard before? Obviously, both you and your dad are coming, new into the industry. So I
Yeah.
was kind of just curious, like, what was the step? It was just more of like, I'm part of this brokerage. That's what they do, and we're gonna go
Yeah.
do
That's a
that.
good
That's what they're
question too.
saying.
So honestly, though, I think I'm very blessed that God just kind of opened up that avenue for us, because we didn't really know all that we thought we knew.
Mm-hmm.
But at our first brokerage, we did have where we'd be on a cycle we'd get Zillow calls. So
Mm-hmm.
we knew of Zillow slightly. And that's why we're super thankful that we were there and kind of learned everything. So dad closed a couple houses in his first 6 months with those Zillow leads. So we kind of knew, hey, this could be something.
Mm-hmm.
So I was sitting at just in my house, not doing anything, and the broker of that other brokerage that we were at just gave me a call, showed me everything. Now he sold 365 houses in a year himself.
Wow. That's
So
that's
this
a
guy,
crazy.
an absolute masterclass of knowledge and training that we were able to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of convinced us to join, and from there we just were learning. We look at ourselves as being teachable, and the
Mm-hmm.
worst thing that somebody can do is just not be teachable. listen to the other people that have done it, that are successful, and then apply it. And it just amazes me when I'll tell somebody something and they don't apply it. And it's just amazing to me. So we listened to him, we applied it, and within a few months, it was working. And the other thing is, a lot of people aren't as consistent as they need to be. They'll go
Yeah.
from this thing to this thing to this thing. They'll only give it a month. You have to give it a little bit of time, folks, at least like 6 months, but I would encourage over a year. Give something some time. These online leads that we're working, I'm showing a house this evening that, I gave them a text and I've been following up for a year and a half and I'm finally starting to meet them. So focus on that long term and take care of yourself as well. You're, down the road. Because now I look at it and I'm like, I'm so glad I followed up with this person a year and a half ago till now. Because now, we're set. So really focus on that long-term goal. Don't be so, don't have that tunnel vision of that short, time period.
And with the follow up now, which I feel like it's just equally as important of like the speed, right? On that first, as you say, like if you don't get that appointment scheduled within that week, the follow up is everything systemized for you today so that even with this client that you mentioned, it's been a year and a half. Do you have like a process where is this all automated, things that they're getting throughout that whole year and a half, or there's, touch points that it's also you in between, the waiting time, right? Whenever they're ready.
Yeah. So I'm a big believer in personal touches, right? Set up that automation. I do monthly emails and I do mass texts all the time because you can do that in my CRM called Lofty. So you can do all sorts of things, but I have a process. So when I get the lead, it's called a new lead. I can either put it in a nurture. That's where they're not looking for like 1 to 3 years. Okay. I can put it in warm. That's usually if I've spoken with them. Maybe they're kind of looking, maybe they're not, And then I put it in hot if that's somebody I'm like looking for, looking for homes. And then closed as well. So I can take care of all of my clients that we've closed with, because I learned this not too long ago. But somebody said the deal actually starts once you close on the house. You want to take care of that person after they close on the house. People think the deal's done. It's really just getting started. And most people, you can get an average referral of, 5 referrals after you close on a home with them. So just think about that. So I do that within my CRM. I put them on those systems in those categories. And then with that, I'm always following up, but I'm doing personal touches. So if they're in my hot list, right, I'm looking for homes. I don't think agents do this enough. You can put them on those, automated, home searches. That's great. That's fine. But make sure that every morning you're looking at the hot sheet with new, homes on the market, and you're sending them homes saying, hey, this is Landen Barr with eXp Realty. Just wanted to see what you thought about this home or something of that nature. And you can't go wrong with that. If they like it, great. You're going to set up a showing. If they don't like it, great. What don't you like about this house so I can kind of dial in what you're looking for? And then, wow, I looked on the market today and there were no homes. What am I going to say to them? I'm going to say, hey, once again, this is Landen Barr with eXp Realty. Just wanted to let you know I'm looking for you. I haven't seen anything on the market today in your criteria, but I'm looking. So when I said earlier, those touches, that's what I'm doing. Don't let it die. Don't let it get cold. Do those touches. So.
Yeah, no, it's so funny because I feel like even what you're talking about now, and being 3 years and a half, like I always kind of did, like my lead generation has still been social media and open houses and just my sphere. But then a lot of new agents, right, when they come in and it's just like there's everything works for me. I think in real estate everything works, but you just need to, as you say, not try 1 month, even 6 months sometimes is a year, and we're just overcomplicated. And we hear so many stories, which amazing stories from from agents like yourself, and you just like pick that one thing, but you just need to commit, and then let all the noise down, right? Because otherwise there's just so many things you can do, and you can just be like busy but not actually producing or with the right things. So it's such an incredible thing that they're already doing. Like this year, you're coming with EXP, knowing the benefits that the company has in our group. You already became an icon agent, which is like in here at EXP, it's for a top producer, and he get all the cap that he paid up to for EXP this year in back in company stocks, which is like so amazing. So you also touch revenue share was something, interesting to you guys. And for you guys that are, listening up in here as we're continuing our conversation, all the information from Landen is going to be on the descriptions below. Make sure you guys are, checking it out, connect with him or booking a call so you can learn more. Obviously, he has so much to share. I mean, can you imagine that pretty much in the last 3 years, he sold almost 300 homes. There's a lot of experience, a lot of different clients, scenarios that he worked through that he can be helping you. And these scenarios, it really does not matter which market you're at, which is the beauty of this industry, right? So he can still help you out and answer questions. And who knows, you might be interested in partnering up with me and him, where you get like, two different skill sets that can add to your business and help you, take to the next level. So now let's shift the hat a little bit, which I know you're kind of just getting started there. How are you doing, or how are you thinking as you are connecting with other agents that are interested, either if it's in your own same lead generation strategy that you have now, but just kind of helping them either getting started, or they are maybe are in the business for a while and just need that shift and that change for community and collaboration. Like, what are some of the things that you guys are currently working on right now as you welcoming agents within your group?
Yeah. So what I do a lot locally now is I'm having coffee with agents, and a lot of people think that other agents are like your competition, which they are, and your enemies, but we're really all on the same team in a way. We all have the same goal, and that's to help the client close the deal and get to the next one. So that's what we all have in common. So what I'll do, and I learned this from Jeremy Kane too, is when somebody, you're doing a deal or something like that, just call them and say, hey, let me know if there's a good time to have coffee. We can share war stories, things of that nature, because a lot of these deals aren't easy, and then so from there, I explained to them the model, and that's kind of how I'm growing my revenue share aspect to it, because there's so many pillars that you can learn inside of eXp Realty from different people. And I agree with you. There's a ton of different ways to be successful as a real estate agent, but just focus on a few and stick with it. So that is how I'm kind of building my revenue share business. Is I'm explaining the model to people around, we're in small towns around here. We're in Northern Ohio. And so everyone kind of knows each other, same with the agents, and just kind of explaining to them how the model can help. So I always tell people, like, I'm not a salesman. Real estate agents get such a bad rep for being like scumbags, honestly, just trying to like, commission breath, trying to just sell people homes. So when the right house comes up, right, it sells itself. And that's the same analogy I give with the eXp Realty. I really believe in it. I think that it's a great model. I'm never going to leave. And so it's easy to kind of share the motto with people when you truly believe it works.
I agree. I mean, as I said, like, I kind of feel like I kind of bump into EXP and, the wolf pack, because my mentor was transitioned to EXP as I was getting my license. So I just joined. I knew I was going to join him wherever he was at, but I'm very grateful that he made the change, because I feel like I feel like it's a privilege for me that since day one I've been with EXP, have zero plans to leave, have built amazing relationships. Like, you're talking about, Jeremy, he's in Colorado, I'm in Seattle, like, but we had so many calls that he was helping, me with my business. And these are the collaboration that we're doing, having you here on the call today as well. And just, sharing to my community and, what you're doing, what's working for you. And this, I feel like it's the right spirit for this industry, because they need it. And it's crazy to even think like this year, like you're closing almost 80 deals or over 80 deals. And, 70% of this industry did not sell one home in here, right? So something's off, right? And I don't think necessarily just the industry. Sometimes it can be the people's motivation, their focus, their brokerage, their group. But I think we all need to take a little bit of ownership that we can make a difference, right? And I think that's what we're trying to do here for whoever is listening. We're trying to make a difference. If you're here, we want to provide value. We want to provide, relationship. And that's why we always offer, to book a call with us, because there's no pushing around. If you are wanting to learn more, maybe it's your time or maybe it's not. We're not in a rush because we're not going anywhere, right, Landen? So that you can join whenever you're ready. So as we're closing up, I would love just for some of your, thoughts as we're starting 2026. Again, an agent that it's just like, looking up to you, being new in the industry, but having tremendous success. What will be some of your feedback or ideas or just suggestion for them to kind of focus as we're starting the new year?
Yeah, I would just say make sure that you stick with consistency, always be consistent and keep with it. And always make relationships with people. Like, once again, going to the root of real estate, like focus on the client, focus on actually trying to help them. And, like even when you're going to a showing, don't have the mindset like you're closing on a house, or you're trying to sell them a house. Like, don't do that. Just meet them, listen to them, and try to help them. So I would say that's a mindset that people really need to focus on more than anything.
Now, I love that. It's simple, yet it's profound. And I feel like sometimes we skip the simple, thinking there needs to be something fancy, and it's not. And I feel like that's where sometimes, agents kind of miss the boat. So let's go back to starting 2026, simplicity, and just, building relationships and just staying focused in, one or two lead generation and just becoming an expert on that. And that's going to drive your business, I'm 100% certain, upwards. Landen, I am so appreciative for your time today. I am sure that I am going to have you back here next year, because I want to hear, I know you've just been with eXp for a year, but your second year, how's it going for you? Learn more about how your team and your group is growing, and just continue the partnership. But I very, very grateful. And again, since I didn't have an opportunity before, welcome to the team.
Thank you so much. And it was a pleasure speaking with you.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, take care, and I'll see you guys in another video.